Hello and welcome back. Today we are going to be working on Theme from Witch's Dance by Paganini, who was a very well-known virtuoso. He specialized in very bombastic works, between either playing them by other composers or composing them himself. He was known to have extremely long and thin fingers that allowed him to, this was originally written for violin, and on that instrument he was able to get really, really impressive, get a lot of space between his fingers when he would reach back and extend with his pinky or those kind of things. And so between the reach that he had on the instrument and the speed and precision with which he could play, he was the equivalent of the rock stars and the major pop idols that we have still to this day. So with that, let's go ahead and play through this one really quick, and then we can start breaking it down. We do have some interesting stuff here. This one's going to be in 2/4, so it's going to be a little bit faster. We have some interesting accidentals on the first line. The second line, we have the introduction of triplets, which will be interesting. You'll hear how those go. Then we've got some shifted work going into about line 17. That'll be second position work. Then we've got some more accidentals in measure 25, which is going to be a low 1. It's going to be a flat. It's going to be a B flat. And then rocking back in, and the last measure going into the last line is going to be triplets after an interesting kind of extension, kind of a translation between two different melodic ideas, and then yeah, we kind of go from there. We're also going to be introduced to the idea of it's not really a cadence, but an arpeggio. That's the word I was looking for. Sorry, drew a blank there for a second. And with that arpeggiation, that kind of outlines the key, outlines the feel for the where we're playing. So let me go ahead and double check my... Okay, so let's go ahead and play, let's go ahead and listen to Theme from Witch's Dance, and then we can go from there. Okay, so with that, let's go ahead and break down the first line. The only thing that we have out of the ordinary, everything's going to be in first position. The only thing that we have out of the ordinary is going to be an extended 4 in the third measure. So that'll be a 2, 1, open, extended 4. Keep in mind the last beat of the second measure of these little phrases that build into an overall thing are going to be accented. So it'll be a... Okay, so before I to get ahead of myself too far. Let's go ahead and play that first line. Keep in mind we need to, the bowing is going to be very important here, so that we always end on the same, so we always have that accented note on an up bow. And then keep in mind we do have to pay attention to bowings here. This is something that I am absolutely positively horrible about, and have to concentrate on very much. So, build good habits now so that you don't have to work through them again later in life like I do. So, let's go ahead and play that first line. Let's take it a little bit slower. Da, 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 da. So 1, 2, 1, and 2, and. Okay, let's go ahead and do that one more time. On that second time through you're probably not going to just want to out of it like I did. Your bow's gonna ricochet depending on where you hit and where your balance point is. It's not going to sound the best, so you're probably you still need to accent it, but placing the bow and then moving it is probably going to be your best choice, just so that you don't get the weird kind of sound that I had there. So let's go ahead and do that one more time. Keep in mind that fourth finger is going to be extended, so it's going to be a little bit farther than normal, and you're looking for the. So actually, if you go to second position, you can find exactly where that note needs to be a whole lot easier. So second position, let's say on the D string, because that's where we're going to be playing this note. So we have D, we have second finger, second position, which would be a G. Let's play our fourth finger, which would be the A, so we can match it with a string above. And then we can play the G again to match it with a string below us. And then you just need to find in between. So that is the note. Is where you're going to be. Little tricks like that, being able to figure out the correct notes around the accidental that you need to hit, and then being able to find that accidental, and then is very important. So let's go ahead, and now that we know where that G sharp is, let's go ahead and play that first line. 1 and so da 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 da. So 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. Let's go ahead and do that one more time, keeping in mind we need to place the bow and then start moving it instead of sounds a lot less refined than and you can still get that accent on there. So let's go ahead and do that one more time. Da, 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 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. Okay, let's play the second line. First, the first two measures are going to be basically the exact same. Actually, they're going to be exactly the same with the first measure is going to be the same. Measure 6 is going to be slightly different. Rhythm is exactly the same. So let's take a look at measure 5, 6, 7 really quick. So if this is going to be our duple meter, 1 and 2 and 1 and 2, and we have to be able to play triplets, we need to also have a triple meter. So with this, Measures 5 through 8 are going to sound like this. With that, you can get the feel of a different time signature without actually having to change time signatures. You can also bring a lot of flavor and a lot of variety to whatever writing you're doing. Now, keep in mind the triplets. So they're written as eighth notes, and if you look at it, there's too many eighth notes to fit in a 2/4 bar. There should only be 4 eighth notes in a 2/4 bar, and suddenly there's 6. The little 3 underneath the bar of the barred note there denotes that it is a triplet. That is not a fingering. If you notice, there's actually a fingering above it, which is in line with how everything else is fingered. They're annotated for fingering. On this piece, the triplets are marked by the bar. Now, if you have a triple meter, like a 6/8, like a 3/4, anything along those lines, you can also shift back to a duple meter, which is a base 2 kind of a meter, so a 2 or a 4 meter, by having duplets and quadruplets. So instead of having a 3, it'd be a 2 or it'd be a 4. That's getting a little bit more advanced, and that's definitely down the road. You'll run into that kind of thing. But you can be in a 2 meter and have a triplet or have a 3 meter feel, or you can be in a 3 meter and have a 2 meter feel, depending on how things are written. So just something to keep an eye out for. The little 3s right by the barred notes are definitely going to not be fingerings. Those are going to be annotations of a triple meter feel there. So let's go ahead and play that together, because we've got the 2 measures of the duple meter, which would be the 2/4, and then we've got the triplets in measure 5/7, and then we return to a normal measure in a measure feel in measure 8. So let's go ahead and play that one more time, and then we can break down those triplets a little bit more if necessary. So 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. Let's go ahead and do that one more time. Yeah, let's go ahead and do that one more time. Da, da, da. Okay, and just in case you're needing to, in case you're needing a little bit of help with that, especially with a metronome, basically the main deal is every time it comes back to, let's say it would be your left hand side. At that point, you're getting half note and quarter note triplets. Well, in this case, it'd be eighth note and quarter note triplets. So setting up a metronome and then being able to get into that being able to get into that feel is really important, because it's a very commonly used expressive kind of a deal. So let's go ahead and do that one more time, and then we can move on from there. So keeping in mind that transferring from duple to triple, so 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. Again. Again. One more time. Let's go ahead and move on from there. Measures 9 through 12 are going to be the exact same thing as the first line. So let's go ahead and we'll do that one time through, and then we'll go from there. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. Okay. And then measures 13 through 16 are going to sound like this. So that one does not have an accent on it, so it doesn't need to be. really aggressive because the focus is going to be in the next measure. With this, that's going to be kind of a cadence deal to it. Or not a cadence, arpeggio. There we go, sorry. Basically, the arpeggio is going to outline the 1, the 3, and the 5 of the... Usually it's 1, 3, 5, 1, but at the octave. So 1, 3, 5, 1, 3, 1, 3, 5, 1, 5, 3, 1. There we go. Sorry, thinking and talking in notes is... When I signed up for this music thing, they told me I needed to be able to count to 4 and I needed to know my letters A through G. I never realized exactly how convoluted and just in-depth this was going to be. Also, they lied about the numbers. 1 through 16 is going to be about where it's at, unless you get into some really avant-garde stuff. But and then they started adding letters to the counting of the 1E and a 2E and a, and just everything went out the window. Anyway, enough of my whining. Let's move on, and let's go ahead and work on 13 through 16. So, go ahead and join me with this one. And we'll just go ahead and take it. Again, we're transferring from the duple to the triple, so keep in mind the third measure of this is going to be in that triple feel to it, and then we're going back to duple. So, measure 13 through 16, 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. Okay, let's do that one more time. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. Okay, so in measure 17, we jump straight into second position. That is going to be a big thing because everything, we're doing the same arpeggiation through here. Where literally it's the exact same fingering, the exact same notes, it's just down a string to get the second repetition of that. We're starting on a D, we're ending on a D, we're going back up to D. It's 1 3 5 1 5 3 1. It's just starting from the top, going down, back up to the top instead of the bottom, going to the top, coming back down. So measure 17, we're going to go ahead and start in second position. And then go from there. So keeping that same 1 and 2 and da 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 1 and 2 and da 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 1 and 2 and da 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 da. Okay, let's go ahead and do that one more time. Da 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 da. Okay. Fingering is a little, like, it takes a second to wrap your head around it, but once your head is wrapped around it, you can very easily see how it's applied in a bunch of different places. So staying in second position, measures 21 through 24. It's 4 1 0, and then we have to go back to first position to hit that E on the D string, and then it's right back up into shifted position. So it's going to sound like this. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. Da 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 da. Let's go ahead and do that one more time. It's 4 1 open, shift back and hit that 1. And then as you're playing that open A, you shift back to second position so you can hit that 1, which would be that C sharp. Yep, carried over from earlier in the measure. So let's go ahead and do that one more time. Da 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 da. Let's do that one more time just to just to make sure that we're good, because that shift can be really kind of rough. So finding where your second finger is supposed to go so that you're all in tune. Actually, let's go ahead and do that down a string. So the exact same fingerings, the exact same apparent notes, but just down a string. So it's going to sound like... And what that is going to allow us to do is when we hit that fourth finger, which would nominally be the E, but since we're coming down to fifth, it'll be an A, you can actually use the string above you to make sure that you're in tune. So... So being able to figure out little things around, little things like that, to be able to make sure that you're hitting exactly where you're needing to be on your shifts and on your notes is going to be very handy. Playing down a fifth, playing up a fifth, basically playing up a string or playing down a string, is something that I didn't really pick up on until a little bit later, because like, well, you know, that's an E, so you have to play an E, but if you play an A, you can figure out where that A is supposed to be using the string above you, because obviously most cellos do not have an E string. Although getting into some of the viola da gamba and like some of the transitional instruments get kind of interesting like that. And there are 5-string cellos, although normally most people tend to go to a lower string instead of going to a higher string. But it's... Anyway, we're getting off the beaten track, I apologize. Let's go ahead and do measures 21 to 24 one more time, and then we can go from there. So let's go ahead and play it in the correct notes, not down a string. So da 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 da. Okay, and then we're going to shift back to first position so that we can hit measures 25 through 28. That is going to sound like this. I guess that is supposed to be piano, isn't it? And I apologize, that was not piano on my end. So with this one, we have something slightly different. We have 4 to a second finger, which is going to be that natural, whereas before we were playing it as a sharp. Our first finger is going to be lowered, so you're going to have to point back a little bit more. Instead of... and then we've got the natural on the F. Then we have a quasi-second position. I really wouldn't go into a full second position for this. Basically, so earlier when we were needing to find that G sharp, you remember how we so we got into second position, like on the D, matched with a string below, with the second finger, and then matched with the string above, and then that gave us the 2 notes that were on either side, and then we found the one in the middle. That is basically going to be the same thing that we do here, but we're only concerned with the 2 lower notes. The problem is, then we have to go back to first position. Because if you look at the fingerings, that is an E flat. So you're going to have to shift up half a position, and then back to first position, and then... So let's go ahead and play the first 2 bars a little bit slower. just so that we can work on getting that low 1. So again, 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. If you're having a hard time getting that low note in tune, you can use a tuner. The other thing is to shift into shifted position instead of second. You're going to come all the way up so that your first finger is on, so you've got an open A, and then on the D string you're going to be playing an A as well. And then you are going to basically just play your second finger. It's the Jaws theme. The minor second, which is the distance between those notes, is literally the majority of the Jaws theme. Okay, so moving on from there, let's go ahead and take a look at measures 27 and 28. So we're going to be starting with that extended 4. And keep in mind that first finger is going to be natural. It's not going to be low. It's not going to be flat. So it's going to sound like this. Let's go ahead and do that really quick. So to practice that, we're going to use the same tactic that we used earlier to figure out that G sharp. So we're going to play first finger on the G on the D string, and then match that with the G string open below it. And then we're going to play the third finger on the D string, matching with the A string open above that, so that we can get that where that fourth or where that G sharp should be. And then we're going to just walk up a string. It's literally just transferring over one string. So we're going to be paying attention to the bottom 2 notes. And then just go back into first position. And then play that second note that we've been working on. And that's how you find it. So, let's go ahead and work on 27 and 28. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. Again, 1 and 2 and. One more time. 1 and 2 and. Now, let's go ahead and do 26 and 27 together, just so we can get that low 1 into the 2, and then get the shift into the extended 4 back to the regular 4. So 1 and 2 and. One more time. 1 and 2 and. Okay, and then moving on, we're back to mostly regular stuff. We do have the B flat in 29, then we have a B natural in 31, 29, 30, 31, 32, sorry. We have a B natural in 32. Keep in mind, we do have a fermata in measure 29, 30, 31, which is going to be kind of a stylistic deal. So let's go ahead and do 29 to 33, just to play that out. So 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. Okay, so we have the first section. And then it got into the minor section, which is where we had the other accidentals. And now we are bringing the minor section to an end with that fermata, and then we're beginning back again into the major section with the mezzo forte a tempo in 29, 30, 31, 30, measure 32. So we have a transition going on here. The fermata we can hold for as long as we want. Usually I hold it a little bit longer than it's supposed to be just by rhythmic duration. So instead of holding it for 2 beats, I usually hold it for like 2.5, maybe 3, and then move on to the next after a distinct caesura. So stopping the making of all sound, moving on to the next section. So let's go ahead and let's do that line, the entire line starting at 29. So it'll be 29 to 33. Just so we can kind of get a feel for that one. We'll do that a couple times. So 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. Let's do that one more time. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. Messed up the bow there. Okay. So we do have a little bit of retard there in measure 29, which kind of feeds into the fermata. It's slowing down and then stopping on a note and then beginning again. Let's do that one more time and then we move on from there. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. Then 34, we don't really have anything new. We do have that G sharp showing back up, so that will be that extended 4. 36, we've got the standard. 37, we have half of the measure in duple, half of the measure in triple. So let's go ahead and play through 34 to 37 really quick, and then we'll work on 37 by itself. So 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. Okay, so actually let's do measure 36 and 37 just so we have that duple leading into the triple. So it's literally going to just be so when you have that in measure 37, you've got first finger on the D, which is going to be an E, playing an E, to the open string. When you hit that open string, move your hand into that shifted position, just so that you can make sure that you're in the right place. Keep in mind that is going to be a low 1, so it'll be... it's not going to be that C sharp that we had earlier in like measure 21 and such. It is going to be a C natural, so you're going to need to reach that first finger back a little bit more. Let's just play those notes, not really dealing with duration or rhythm. Just take your time, make sure that you're getting your intonation there. Another good place to use the tuner, not the metronome. Definitely a good place to use the tuner just to make sure that you're getting where you need to be. And then let's go ahead and tie 36 and 37 together. 1 and 2 and... Okay, let's go ahead and do 34 through 37. 1 and 2 and... Okay, and then 38th to the end. It's just going to be a simple, you're going to have a skip up, and then you're going to have descending all the way down to the G, and then you're going to have the arpeggio, and then you're going to be done. It's going to sound like this. don't let the notes on the page kind of intimidate you. Once you figure out what's going on, you can sight read things like these a lot easier. But this has a lot of notation. This has a lot of black on the page. This has a lot of ink everywhere with notes and fingerings and accidentals and tempo markings and dynamics markings and all that stuff. Break it down piece by piece, and you can get through quite literally anything, with the exception of like Fairy's Air and Death Waltz, which is a completely bonkers piece. I mean, they've got annotations for penguins in the dang thing. It's ridiculous. That was more of a joke piece than something that's actually supposed to be played. In this case, this is very much something that was supposed to be played. And so breaking it apart, notes, duration, fingerings, dynamics, all that kind of stuff, break it down piece by piece and you can get through it. Just don't let the ink on the page kind of intimidate you, which was something that I had a hard time with when I was coming up and learning things. So let's go ahead and do 38 to the end, and then we can tie everything together. We'll break it into chunks and then go from there. So 38. Again. Again for good luck. Okay. So let's go ahead and break. Where do we want to do that? Let's go ahead and break measures 1 to 12. We'll do that. So let's go ahead and take it from the top. 1 and 2 and. And then let's do measures 13 through 24. Keep in mind, we do have the triplets, so we've got that duple, triple kind of feel there. We do have the shifted work, beginning at 17 in second position, moving through basically everything else that we have. We do have the dynamic markings at 25. We're going to be dropping to piano. Other than that, yeah, let's take it for a spin. 13 to 24. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and. Let's play that one more time. We'll do 13 to 24. Yeah, just focus on your shifts, focus on your accidentals, and then make sure to toss in those dynamics and we'll be set. 13, 1 and 2 and. And then let's do 29 to the end. We are still piano, keep that in mind. And we do have that retard, and then we'll have that not mezzo, formata. There we go. Completely drew a blank there for a second. I knew what it meant, I just couldn't remember what it was called. So 29 to the end, we do have the retard going into the formata in measure 31, and then we are back to a tempo and mezzo forte until we hit forte on the beginning of the last line. So 29. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. Let's do that one more time. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. Let's go ahead and wrap it all together. One quick note with triplets. You want to make sure to not like emphasize, but lightly emphasize, just enough to where you can feel the pulse when you're running triplets, the first one on every triplet. That will help you keep the beat of the piece, instead of you see what the difference is. So keep that in mind when you are practicing your triplets. And then let's go ahead and take it from the top. So da 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 da. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. And now 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and let's go ahead and try it at full tempo, and then we can go from there. And 1 and 2. Well, thank you very much for joining me, and I will catch you all later. Have fun practicing.